we are doing, and first start with my thanks, because I know how hard people out there are working hard to wear their masks, wash their hands, keep their distance, and yes, stay at home whenever possible. That most people are engaging in these things that do work and are the main weapons. I was hearing from a public health professional today who would have thought that just doing those three things was the majority of the work that we have to do. And yet those three simple things are the powerful weapons that can defeat a virus, slow its spread, save lives, keep our economy strong. These are the things in our hands, and I want you to feel the power that you have to save a life. And I'm grateful to everyone who's taking this threat seriously. What you do matters, the actions you take have consequences, and we are making progress, and while it is fragile, it is still progress. We came together and slowed the spread of the virus in March and April and May, and we're doing that again right now. But to be clear, on the other hand, and we've all seen it, we know it, maybe some of us have participated in it, there are still too many social gatherings, maybe too many pool parties this weekend, too many play dates, too many family barbecues, not just with your household, too many group activities. This is what COVID-19 thrives off of. The momentary pleasures of one day that stay with all of us for months in the days ahead. Today, more than 50% of the people who are testing positive in Los Angeles County are between 18 and 40 years of age. Remember just a few weeks back it was 30%? Then when I talked to you last week it was 40%. Today 50% of those cases are with our younger Angelenos. So to young Angelenos and Angelenos under 40, please do your part for all of us. To parents, I need your help. I need you to keep your children away from parties and gatherings with their friends. I know it's the summertime and our muscle memory goes back to being together, to want to hang out with one another, to thinking, well, I don't know anybody who's been sick or in the hospital, so I'm probably okay and they're probably okay. Maybe I'll get together in a group instead of hopping on a video chat, or young people that we see not covering their faces and physically distancing. And most young people are doing the right thing, I want to be clear, but it's clear that a lot of them are not still. And so they're winding up in the hospital, or if they're not winding up in the hospital, they're passing on to their parents and their grandparents this deadly disease. This isn't complicated. Do not get together with someone who's not in your household. These weeks are absolutely critical. Critical to whether schools open, whether our economy and our economic recovery path continues. These weeks are critical for saving lives. I was reading an article today about how suddenly when we hit numbers like 100,000 deaths, the difference between 100,000 and 110,000, we don't feel anymore. It's just human nature. But think about that, 10,000 deaths, and begin to picture each one of those people and the relationships with their families, the loss in their communities. We have to get back to feeling what this is about and the power we have to give a life, to save a life, to keep a life. We cannot let our guard down. I'm in frequent communication with the County Department of Public Health and with the governor and our state government, and all options remain on the table. We will do whatever is necessary to limit the spread of COVID-19, because improving our public health is the vehicle to reopen our schools and to keep our economy moving forward. As one of our leading infectious disease experts, Dr. Kim Farley at UCLA has said, and I shared this with you last week, but I want to repeat it, the only way to open the economy is to do it gradually and then dial things back if the disease spreads and risks overwhelming our hospitals. That's exactly what happened last week. With a surge in cases, we dialed things back. And the governor closed bars and shut down indoor dining. We know so much more about this disease today than we did in March when it first hit us. And that means we can make targeted interventions to stop the spread of this novel coronavirus. But making sure we don't have to go farther and close more businesses requires an individual commitment of each and every one of us, from businesses and the people of LA. When we opened bars and indoor dining and restaurants last month, the County Public Health Department found 83% of the 3,700 bars and restaurants they visited were violating some part of our public health protocols. But people are hearing that there is a consequence for noncompliance. And I'm glad to report that the county shared with us today that their inspection saw a 90 to 98% compliance rate among those same entities. That's good news. People are hearing us, they're doing the right thing, and helping save lives. Exercising caution is especially important in our workplace settings as well. Many of us are back at work for the first time in a long time, and I want to reiterate that if you can work at home, work at home. But businesses that are allowed to reopen don't have to reopen, but if you do choose to open your doors, there are rules to follow. You can't pick and choose between them. You have to abide by all of them. So businesses, I'm asking for your help. Follow the city's protocol. Protect your employees, protect your customers, protect our economy, and protect lives. And that guidance is available for you, coronavirus.lacity.org/business. It's been written with and for business over many weeks and months. It's good guidance and it's required action. There's no excuse to break the rules, period. Offices should only open if teleworking is not an option. Now is not the time to return to crowded indoor workplaces. In fact, the 3 C's are things we should all avoid: crowds, confined environments, and close contact. We all know that. We have some people who don't stand 6 feet away. I had a great person who shared with me that it's kind of like, for the basketball fans out there, the Lakers triangle offense. If you're too close, make a triangle between you and other folks. Make those 6 feet on each side and make sure you're abiding by it. Our city government offices ourselves remain closed except in cases where teleworking is not possible. So we're trying to lead with our workforce by example as well. This virus doesn't care if you're gathered at a barbecue or a workstation. It will spread if you're near others, period. You should assume that all around you are infectious. Those numbers from last week of 1 in 140 people are sobering. Sobering for those of us that have to still work on frontline jobs, sobering for those of us who go into the public spaces or places to get food, to the grocery store and others. Use your judgment, assume people are infectious, keep those masks on, sanitize the surfaces, and keep your distance. We need to protect the progress we've made, and we can do it. You can do it. But today's COVID infection threat level remains at orange. That's bad. That means that the risk is high, and you should assume that everyone around you is infectious. Continue to stay home as often as you can and only participate in essential activities. If things get worse, that dial could move to red in this coming week or two. That would place us at the highest risk of infection, and we would likely return to a mandated safer at-home order. But if things get better, we'll see that dial back down to yellow, indicating we're successfully flattening the curve again. You can always track the status of where we're at coronavirus.lacity.org/threat level. And it's important to always be guided by data. I've been so proud of this city and this state, listening to medical and public health professionals and using the data to inform the decisions we make as individuals and collectively. So today, let me share that with you. Today, the county recorded just under 2,500 new infections, 2,496, bringing our total to 123,004 verified positive COVID-19 cases. 801 of those were in the city of Los Angeles, bringing the city of LA total to 52,088. Hospitalizations have been steadily, if slowly, but steadily climbing, and have now reached 2,004. This is the highest level of hospitalizations we have had since this began. That said, our ventilator supply remains very robust, and the treatment lessons and the use of the drug remdesivir, the utilization rate remains lower in our ventilators because of those 2 factors than the initial days of the crisis. That's good news. Our ICU bed inventory remains fragile, but sufficient, and we are confident about its expandability today. And other decently good news is our infection rate, which was up at 1.26 last week, is now estimated to be at 1.01. It's still more than 1 person that each person who is positive is infecting, but just over 1. And if we continue the work of this past week, we could see that go down even further, perhaps the strongest and most important leading indicator of where we're at. As I said a week ago, the next 2 weeks, meaning this past week, this week, things won't get better. And in fact, we'll probably see deaths, which are a lagging indicator, in the 3rd and 4th week go up. But these are hopeful signs. They will only remain hopeful if you continue to have that sense of discipline, maybe even that sense of panic that some people had, that this could get out of control again, and that we make the right decisions and do the right thing. Every day, every week matters. Our choices, our care, our concern matters and makes a difference. Another indicator that we track closely is the positivity rate of tests. What percentage of overall tests come back positive versus negative? This number currently stands at 9.3% positive, which means it's increased significantly in the past few weeks. It's well above where we were in late May at 8%. The 7-day average of new tests is 11% positive, which means more people are testing positive now. Yesterday at city and county testing sites, the drive-up or the walk-up ones, we tested 20,000 people, a new record. It's the most we've ever conducted in a single day, and today and tomorrow morning, by tomorrow morning, the city and the county sites will have together tested over 1 million people. 1 million tests, free of charge, in our communities, one of the strongest and most robust testing programs, not just in this country, but of any city in the world. Today, I went to Kedron Community Health Clinic in South Los Angeles with Councilmember Curran Price and activist, actor, and Angelino, Anthony Anderson, who we all love from Blackish, as well as Capri Maddox, who is our equity officer and the head of our new Civil and Human Rights Department here, to underscore the message, especially in communities of color, where they speak Spanish, the African American community and others, that testing is important. The next 2 days are booked up as we make up for the holiday weekend, but we are adding more tests on this Saturday and into next week. And we're seeing our turnaround times skyrocket across the country to 7 or 8 days, but here it's still 1 to 2 days. These numbers are among the strongest in the nation, but let me be clear, it is not enough. We need more help with testing. As I've shared with you in each of these gatherings, the city of Los Angeles doesn't even have a health department. We knew nothing about testing when we started this, but we decided to step up without prejudice about where you live to anybody in the county and offer at no charge testing conveniently where people are at. We expanded that from people with symptoms and frontline workers to those who had been exposed or believed they were exposed, and then to asymptomatic folks who need to go back to work or other things like that. We hear every single day that there are not enough tests. And while we had just 2 weeks ago more test capacity than people were using, we know this last week pinched that capacity and we are building that up, expanding by almost 100% the number of tests in the city sites across the city of Los Angeles. We see choke points nationally in the supply chain, everything from reagents to some of the swabs, and the surge in states like Texas, Georgia, and Florida have caused labs to be past their capacity across the country. Though I want to be clear, the ones that we have here and the curative tests that we have are able to respond quickly, we're able to ramp them up, and we're going to continue doing that. But without a major boost in testing, which we'll be fighting for in the next coronavirus relief bill, these numbers nationally are not sustainable. There's no way we can functionally reopen the economy or safely reopen our schools. And to be clear, schools will only open when they are safe, and this is a key part of it. Congress and the President need to set aside any of their differences and to pass another relief bill now. Expanded testing and direct assistance for cities like ours that are stepping up and paying out of our pocket for these tests. Funding more local community health workers, real small business assistance, expanded benefits including unemployment, another cash payment for folks who are struggling, and aid for state and local government. It is a clear, crystal clear list that isn't about red or blue, Democrat or Republican. It is about red, white, and blue, and these United States of America. If we are to be one nation, we need to step up and continue to prove it. So testing remains a critical tool. You may not realize it, but you can ask your own doctor for a test if you have any symptoms at all. You can also get tested at CVS and at community health centers. There's in fact more than 100 places that you can get a test, and they're all listed at coronavirus.lacity.org/testing, or just call us at 311 if you don't have internet access. It's a no-brainer. If you think you've been exposed to COVID-19, go get tested. But we've had a lot of questions about whether everyone should get tested and get tested regularly. Today, the County Department of Public Health gave some good guidance on this, on who should get tested. They said that tests should be prioritized for people who have symptoms, those who think they've been exposed, or who are essential workers or work in a high-risk environment. We're receiving reports that people are getting tested so that they can just go out and hang out with folks. That's not what these tests are for. A COVID test isn't an excuse to break the rules and engage in social gatherings outside your household. It's not an excuse to not wear a mask or to not maintain social distancing. A test is not a passport to party. Don't go out with your friends. More people are getting sick. Supply chains are getting constrained. So we're asking you to be responsible, even as we offer these tests to all folks with and without symptoms, about when you get a test and why. It will help save lives. We also know that every single day, this is not just a healthcare crisis, it's an economic crisis. People are suffering, and I want to speak to some help that is on the way. We know that folks can't pay their bills. They're worried about whether they'll lose their homes, whether they'll get kicked out of their apartments, whether they can put food on the table or meet some of their basic needs. Too many people are struggling these days, and that's why early in this crisis, we took swift action, putting a moratorium on evictions. We froze rent for our city's rent-stabilized units. And that's why I worked with my city council colleagues to prohibit landlords, too, from taking advantage of tenants and to guarantee renters a private right of action if emergency protections are violated. And as I've always said, for those who can pay their rent, they should pay their rent, because landlords have expenses and many small landlords are also having financial difficulty now. And the last thing we want to see is our mom and pop landlords in this town lose their apartments, get bought by the banks, or go to the banks and get bought up by corporate housers. We know that many tenants still, though, cannot meet their rent obligations. That's why, working with our City Council and Council President Martinez, we've created the Emergency Renters Relief Fund, which will be the largest renter relief fund in this nation. It provides $100 million to help renters stay in their homes and get welcome relief from the financial stress that they are experiencing. This program provides $2,000 badly needed dollars to help cover rent for our hardest hit households. If you're in 80% of your area median income, the average income, or less. And it gives financial relief and additional protection to renters, as well as support to landlords. It's really a win-win-win. Eligible tenants must live in the city of LA, be economically impacted by COVID-19, the loss of job or hours specifically from that, and have that household income at below 80%, which for a family of 4 is about $83,500. All renters can apply, regardless of whether they're immigrants or not, wherever they live. It is universal. Now, applications for this program will be accepted starting this coming Monday, and we'll be talking more about this. You'll be hearing from City Council members, City Council President Martinez, myself about this each day. But it opens up on Monday, July 13th at 8 a.m. and remains open until midnight on Friday, July 17th. It is not a first-come, first-served program, so don't worry about needing to call or log in on that first day. That will not impact the order that you apply in this coming week, will not impact whether or not you are selected. It's run through our Housing and Community Investment Department, and I want to thank the people who have been working so hard for these past weeks to stand this up and to make sure it functions on day one. And eligible applicants will be randomly selected if we have more applicants than money after the closure of the application period. Today, you can learn more about it. You can't apply for it today, but if you want to familiarize yourself with it, please go to our Housing Department's website. That's at HCIDLA. So HCIDLA .lacity.org. Or call us at 844-944-1868. And some of the frequently asked questions are already up there for your convenience. We're doing everything we can to help those in need, to protect our most vulnerable, stop the spread, and to save lives. And one way we're doing that is through Project Roomkey, which is helping our unhoused Angelenos that are living on the streets of LA or in vulnerable environments to have hotel and motel rooms with food, a safe place to be, and to make sure that they don't become COVID-19 positive. I volunteered at one of the hotels that is housing our fellow Angelenos, and let me say it was a great experience. Wonderful to talk to the folks that are there. Many of them are working. Yes, they're homeless and working while at Project Roomkey. The folks that are providing them with meals, I thank you. The disaster service workers who are city employees that usually work in other jobs who are there every day, I thank you. They're making a difference, and I have some good news that we've just secured yet another hotel for this program, just outside of downtown Los Angeles with 294 additional rooms, bringing the total number of hotel and motel rooms in LA to nearly 3,900. I'm so grateful to the governor and everybody who stepped forward to help this program get off the ground and to keep going. Through all of this, the city is committed to helping every Angelino get through this crisis. We see that with our city family, from Rec and Park staff who are helping our homeless neighbors at emergency shelters, to other disaster service workers who have stepped up, joining the county, over 300 of them now, as contact tracers from the city under the county's supervision. But I want to speak about a very special angel in the city of angels, somebody who committed her life to the people of LA. LAPD Senior Detention Officer Erica McAdoo, who died from complications due to COVID-19. We lowered our city's flags in her honor. The governor joined us as well. I talked to her mother, Donna, today, and she told me about Erica's story, how she was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, moved out here with her mom and her sister when she was 9 years old, graduated from Bellflower High School, then went to Cerritos College, studied the culinary arts, worked as a chef, and then decided she wanted to dedicate herself by becoming a worker for the city of Los Angeles and to serve the 4 million souls that call LA home. Angelinos were so fortunate that she made that decision. She chose this path, determined to give back to a city that had given her everything. Her mom tonight, when I was talking to her, spoke about how she was wise beyond her years, how sometimes as her daughter, she'd take care of her mom. We all know that. We have kids who sometimes seem wise beyond their years, and Erica was one of those people who just spoke with a certain authority, whose coworkers loved her, and she had a real impact on the life of our city. The active services that make our city stronger, that city government that I said would never close, even in the midst of a crisis like this. But unfortunately, she succumbed after 3 months of fighting to COVID-19. I want to say to Erica's sister and mom, an entire family, how our hearts are broken with you, how each one of us mourns with you and the families of everybody who has lost someone in this cruel, cruel crisis. Her mom, Donna, said that she felt God towards the end, and she said that God has something big planned for her, and I know that He does, and that she and each one of the angels that has fallen in this city is watching over us and asking us to do everything we can to keep their numbers as small as possible in heaven, to make sure that we have the neighborhoods and the families and the strength on our streets that we should, that we have the power to do something about. The city of Los Angeles mourns with Erica's family. We are here for you, and your service will never be forgotten. Nobody wants to read about more cases. Nobody wants to learn of more deaths like Erica's or the thousands of others lost in our region. Nobody wants to take more steps backwards in our reopening journey, see more careers or livelihoods or small businesses lost. We all want to have COVID under control. We all want to see a better day come. And that will be a product of what we do today and the choices that we make tomorrow. I want you, as I close, to picture somebody who you love, who's vulnerable. Maybe it's because of their age. Maybe it's because of their medical condition. Maybe it's somebody you know who's unhoused. I want you to hold them in your head and in your heart. And I want you to make every decision moving forward based on protecting them, on stepping up with the power that you have to keep them safe and to keep us all strong. Let's hold our loved ones who are the most vulnerable on the front lines with us every day and keep wearing our face coverings, stop gathering, and stay safe and stay healthy and stay at home. Strength and love and justice to all of you, Los Angeles. Thank you. With that, I'll answer some questions, and then I'll speak in Spanish afterwards. First question, please.
Thank you. And our first question comes from Claudia Pashuta from KNX News Radio. Please go ahead.
Hi, Claudia. Good evening.
Hi. I have two questions. One of your staffers told me yesterday that the city's 7 testing sites could test up to 15,500 people a day. You said capacity at the LA sites is going up by 100%. So does that mean they'll be able to test up to 31,000 people? And if so, by when? And then my second question is on the City Hall corruption scandal. I'm just wondering how could so much allegedly blatant and widespread misconduct go on for years, and whether any major changes are planned to prevent something like this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I wasn't talking about doubling again. I said that we had doubled. So, excuse me, to get to 15,500, that was double what we were doing just a couple weeks ago, and we were able to do that within a matter of days. So no, we aren't planning and don't have the capacity, just even with the personnel, to get to 31,000. It was a doubling to 15,500. And the county sites are, though. The county sites do about a quarter of the overall tests, and we do about 3/4 of them in the LA City ones. I know they're looking at opening in the next 2 weeks a number of sites and bumping up the capacity in each one of those county sites, which has usually a slightly lower or quite lower throughput than some of the big city ones, like obviously Dodger Stadium, nothing comes close, but even Crenshaw Christian and others. So I know that the county will be adding thousands more tests in the coming weeks as well. In terms of the scandal at City Hall, I mean, what I've learned over time, 19 years being here, is bad people can do bad things, and they will find ways to get around any law. That said, I absolutely not only wholeheartedly support, but have suggested the following as a way to tighten up. I supported last year a change that was made since this all began, even as we see people now pleading guilty. The first time that we found out about this, City Council, and with my support, outlawed donations from folks that are, for instance, developers who have things before people. I'd like to see a system like we have at LA Metro, our county metro board. As a board member, I can't vote on anything if a family member, an associate, a subcontractor of any business has ever given to you. You're recused. And maybe that would dry up the idea of people thinking that they can somehow buy influence, because whatever influence they buy, they've now just lost the capacity for that person to even vote on their project. So I hope by ordinance, the council can pass that in the coming months, and that maybe we put that into the city charter itself, as it is in the rules of LA Metro. I think that would go a long way. Thanks, Claudia.
You have been listening to the mayor's news briefing as we see a surge in new cases of coronavirus. The mayor's telling us COVID-19 hasn't gone away. It's gotten worse. He said there have been too many social gatherings, too many group activities. He said 50% of the new cases now in LA County involve people under the age of 40. He said we need to avoid crowds, confine spaces, and close contact. And he said that in terms of hospitalizations, we're seeing the highest number yet. But he did say that the ventilator supply is good and ICU inventory is fragile but sufficient.
Interesting that in previous briefings, he would give numbers with those. Ventilators, ICU beds. No numbers given today. They just said, he just said that we have a robust supply and sufficient. So we'll have to try to get behind that and find out what the actual numbers of available emergency supplies are. In the meantime, Eyewitness News is committed to bringing you ongoing coverage of how coronavirus is affecting this year's back-to-school plans. In San Bernardino, the school year will begin exactly as the last one ended, with distance learning.
Inland Empire reporter Rob McMillan shows us more.
San Bernardino City schools are empty today. Of course they are. It's the summer. But come August 3rd, the first day of the new school year, they'll still be empty because the school board has voted unanimously to go online only.
How hard was this decision?
It was a hard decision on one end to say we know that traditional school, unfortunately, is not going to be there for those that are either entering or transitioning. But when it came to the side of safety, it was very easy for me.
School board president Gwen Rogers says while students are out of the classroom, the district is paying for them to have internet at home. And they already have laptops. That decision was made a long time ago.
We had already invested in Google Chromebooks, and closing that digital divide was important to us then, and it's important to us now.
But distance learning does have its problems. You see, because teachers weren't allowed to lower the grades of students once the pandemic began, the assistant superintendent says about 15% of kids weren't participating.
How do we engage with students that aren't logging in, or that are logging in but then we can't tell if they're really there or not because they turn their video off, right?
But this fall, everyone will be graded. As for when they might actually go back on campus, well, there's no date yet, and there's still a lot to figure out.
We're still working through the details, and we'll be doing that with our teacher union. But the goal will be that we have students on campus half the time, and then the other half they're in a virtual setting.
Rob McMillan, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Dallas Raines joins us again. You know, the last time we heard from Dallas, he was talking about triple-digit temperatures. We're going to check to see if maybe that's changed.
I wish it would, but it's not going to happen, Mark. We're looking at more hot weather coming. Tomorrow will be our last day of near average. Temperatures will jump above average on Friday at 88. And then by the weekend, downtown temperatures in the low 90s across Southern California. But it's all about the valleys in this heat wave and the deserts. Tomorrow, 95 or so, poor air quality due to ozone alerts during the afternoon. And then on Friday and Saturday, look at the high temperatures that I'm forecasting in the valley locations. Anywhere between 95, that would be typical, we'll say Burbank on Saturday and Sunday. And then we'll jump all the way up to 103 to 104 in some areas. At the beaches, patchy fog, 73, 75. Saturday and Sunday, we'll see temperatures near 80 degrees, even at the beaches. Mountain forecast, few afternoon clouds develop on Saturday and Sunday. Great weather up there in the high country. And then it's all about the heat in the deserts with some of the low desert temperatures. Palm Springs, I'm forecasting at 117 degrees. Excessive heat warnings are out, of course, for that area.
Okay,
All
Dallas,
right,
thank you. Walt Disney World in Florida is about to become the home of NBA basketball. Rob Fugazaki has more live from his home. Rob?
Okay, thanks very much, Mark and Michelle. Yeah, life in the bubble has begun for the Clippers and will begin for the Lakers tomorrow. The Clippers flew into Orlando today. Meantime, the Lakers will arrive tomorrow, and more players are testing positive for the coronavirus. The latest, Taurean Prince of the Brooklyn Nets. He's the fourth player on the Nets to test positive. Meantime, COVID-19 has forced a postponement of September's Ryder Cup in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. It will be pushed back to next September. For that to happen, the President's Cup in Charlotte, North Carolina will be held in September of 2022, 1 year later than originally scheduled. And the pandemic has affected Major League Baseball. Let's check in with our Kurt Sandoval, who is live at Dodger Stadium, where the Dodgers will be holding an intra-squad game in about an hour. Hello, Curtis.
Hello, Rob. Yes, opening day was supposed to be 3 months ago. It's now 2 weeks from now. It'll be the first, obviously, without fans, and certainly gone is all the pop and circumstance, but that's not the only thing that's gone. Right now, the Dodgers have 7 players who are not here for various reasons. The million-dollar question is why. One of those players, their all-star closer, Kenley Jansen, it was reported, a big rumor, that he's going to opt out, but Dodger skipper Dave Roberts told us this afternoon that is just a rumor, and that is certainly, he said it emphatically, not the case. Now, HIPAA rules don't allow the Dodgers to discuss any medical issues with anybody. So the question is this COVID related? Is this travel related? Is this fear related? Well, it certainly has added to the challenges for Roberts. And right now, managing in 2020, baseball is just a small part of the equation.
You're always trying to make sure the players are physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared. And things are always kind of unknown and unpredictable. But I obviously, like everyone else, this kind of layer with the global pandemic, I never really thought I would have to really try to educate myself so I could kind of help the players along and really keep their psyche positive and focus on baseball.
That's the biggest challenge for Roberts, is keeping these guys positive. There's a lot of fear out there. And when it comes to the 60-game schedule, Rob, the simple fact is pitching is going to be everything this year, everything. And Dave Roberts talks about that. We'll have that for you, buddy, on Eyewitness News at 6. Rob, good to talk to you. Back to you.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Curtis. We will have much more coming up at 6 o'clock, including college sports. Mark and Michelle, how it's affected one league that has postponed all of its fall sports. Back to you.
Rob, thank you. We have breaking news now in Fullerton, where a death investigation is underway. Let's get up to Chris Christie. He's live in Air 7 HD. Chris?
Hey there, Michelle. Fullerton police investigating a death of an infant inside that car. Apparently, when they arrived out here earlier this afternoon along West Wilshire Avenue in Fullerton, the baby was outside of the vehicle and pronounced dead. Again, an infant found near this multifamily complex along Wilshire. Still developing story, but a very hot day out here and clearly a major crime scene now being set up here in Fullerton. Reporting live from Air 7 HD, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Chris, thank you for that. The world's top scientists, doctors, policymakers, and HIV activists are joining together all week for AIDS 2020 Virtual. Our Carl Schmid sat down with activist, author, and Queer Eye star Jonathan Van Ness for this exclusive chat about what still needs to be done in the fight against HIV stigma.
It's 2020. How far do you think we've come in the fight against HIV stigma? And what more do we need to do?
I think that people that have HIV still face criminalization, access to healthcare, access to housing, all sorts of issues that make living with HIV so much harder, especially for trans and non-binary people. I think that so much of the stigma is actually perpetuated by governmental inaction and by legislatures, right? Because even just in this past 2 weeks, we've had the Trump administration roll back healthcare protection for transgender people. They've defunded Planned Parenthood and their Title X program, which granted like hundreds of thousands of dollars to HIV testing in the United States, which they've, defunded. So, the stigma, I believe, has been from the government. That's really so much of the conversation that we're having right now in the United States, because the legacy of slavery and the legacy of Jim Crow laws and the legacies of segregation have created this situation where we have such unequal access to healthcare in the United States. So it's a very layered conversation. It's a really important conversation, but I do think that the stigma, I think, is continuing to be so pervasive because we have not dealt with how HIV has interacted with racism and transphobia and the legacies of homophobia and racism and transphobia all bottled together.
You can see more of the Jonathan Van Ness interview, an exclusive interview with former Welsh rugby captain turned HIV activist Gareth Thomas. Plus, get breaking news from the conference each day as part of AIDS 2020 Virtual daily on abc7.com. The extended content is presented by the new show Plus Life, coming to Localish TV this Sunday at 9 a.m. Find it on channel 7.2 and on these cable channels.
Walgreens is adding primary care clinics to hundreds of stores nationwide. Drugstore chain is partnering with Village MD to set up doctor-led clinics into as many as 700 U.S. stores. The clinics will also use nurses, social workers, and therapists to provide regular treatment for customers. In order to make room, shelves will be narrowed and products like tobacco will be pulled from stores. Well, close your mouth the next time you ride a scary roller coaster in Japan. That's because theme parks have banned screaming on roller coasters due to coronavirus. Officials are worried about people releasing potentially virus-carrying droplets into the air. They ask you to scream inside your heart as an alternative. Thrill seekers are finding that hard to do amidst the twists and turns of each ride. Tokyo Disneyland opened last week after a 4-month break.
That's a hard one to enforce. Well, how would you like to win free groceries for a year? That's exactly what one lucky Superior Grocers shopper received today. Melissa Murillo of Maywood was randomly selected among thousands of customers who donated $1 to nonprofit Olive Crest as part of week-long fundraising campaign recently. Additionally, one family from Olive Crest's at-risk family program was also surprised with their own year's supply of free groceries.
Nice. Ahead at 6, how the state is preparing for a possible hospital bed shortage, and will students go back to the classroom? Plus this.
Early childhood development programs are navigating an ongoing pandemic along with the families they serve. I'm Annabelle Munoz, and coming up, we'll take a closer look at the problems they're encountering and the solutions they're proposing.
And you may have had trouble finding those lottery scratcher tickets. Find out what is causing the shortage.
These stories on breaking news as it happens up next on Eyewitness News at 6.
This is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
We begin with breaking news, a death investigation in Fullerton. I'm Michelle Tuzzi in for Ellen Leyva.
I'm David Ono. Chris Christie is over the scene in Air 7 HD with the latest. Chris?
David, new details emerging from the Fullerton Police Department here along Wilshire Avenue in the city of Fullerton. As we come around this tree, you'll be able to see this white compact car. Fullerton Police responding out here around 3:30 this afternoon to discover an unresponsive infant outside of the vehicle. They attempted CPR until medics arrived, and that infant was eventually pronounced dead. You can see a major crime scene now being formed here as crime scene investigators take pictures, and we have some ground video as well. We can get a better view of that vehicle where that baby was discovered again just a couple of hours ago. Again, a major investigation underway here in Fullerton. Reporting live from Air 7 HD, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Boy, what a tragedy. Thank you, Chris. Here's a look at some of today's headlines in the COVID-19 pandemic. There are now more than 3 million confirmed cases in the United States. President Trump has threatened to cut funding for schools that don't open for in-class learning in the fall. And USC has joined a lawsuit by Harvard and MIT against the Trump administration's ban on international students' remote-only learning.
LA County announced another 65 COVID-19 related deaths today, bringing the county's death toll to more than 3,600. More than 4,800 people have died as a result of the virus in the 5-county region. And there are more than 185,000 confirmed cases in our area. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes is live with preparations for even more cases. Rob?
Yeah, the governor reporting a huge increase in positive COVID-19 cases across the state, a dramatic rise in ICU patients, and locally, well, good luck getting tested.
As the summer progresses, the number of positive COVID cases grows. Governor Gavin Newsom today reporting a shocking 11,694 new cases today, though he says that number is skewed because of a backlog of positives just reported in LA County. Regardless, California is facing a serious surge.
We have seen about a 49% increase in the number of people needing hospital care in just the last 2 weeks, about a 38% increase in those in need of ICU care.
Here in Southern California, that surge is impacting testing. LA County says testing appointments are booked for the rest of the week. They're working to add 8 or more new testing sites and emphasizing who needs to get a test.
If you have symptoms, if you live or work in a high-risk congregate care settings, there's further guidance on the website about that. And then if you are a known exposure to someone who tested positive.
To prepare for this surge, the governor says the plan right now is to keep several so-called alternative case facilities open, even though they haven't been used much. Those are sites set up to deal with hospital overflows. Nearly 2,000 such facilities across the state.
Only a handful of those beds are currently being utilized in our alternative care sites distributed throughout the state of California, and we'll continue to keep those within a 72-hour prism of being made operational.
But that isn't cheap. The first 3 months of funding those surge facilities cost the state $252 million. Meanwhile, Newsom says he's been working with Vice President Mike Pence to secure help for California doctors and nurses.
We're going to get 190 individuals that are coming from HHS, from our federal partners, to come in and help to relieve some of the stress for some of our caregivers.
Now, California as a whole is testing record numbers of people, averaging more than 100,000 people each day. But again, here in LA County, testing has pretty much hit a wall. All the appointments through Friday are booked, though they are trying to add some opportunities on Saturday. Reporting live in Glendale, Rob Hayes, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Rob, thank you. The surging coronavirus numbers are fueling the heated debate over schools. Will your kids be back in the classroom this fall? President Trump today threatening to withhold federal funding if schools don't reopen in the fall, and he lashed out at the CDC over school reopening guidelines that he says are impractical and expensive. Here in Los Angeles, the county public health department says plans are moving ahead for reopening campuses, but everyone needs to have a plan B, saying a longer period of distance learning may be needed.
You absolutely would not want to open a sector when you thought that the result of a reopening could be an explosion of outbreaks within that sector.
LAUSD parents have told the district the classrooms need more structure, so any virtual learning this fall will include attendance taking, live daily instruction, and a set class schedule.
And as we reported, Eyewitness News is committed to bringing you coverage of how coronavirus is affecting back-to-school plans. Preschools are being hit especially hard by the pandemic. Enrollment is down, and when schools return, there is no certainty some will still be in business. Eyewitness News reporter Annabelle Munoz takes a closer look.
Private and government-subsidized early childhood education programs are adapting to an ongoing pandemic. While providers are following local guidelines to keep children and workers safe, groups must be significantly smaller, like in Los Angeles County.
We have families who are calling us every day wanting to go back to work, and we're having to tell them at some of our schools that we're really sorry, but we don't have a space.
Subsidized programs have more of a safety net through government funding.
Even if they have reduced capacity 2, 3, 4 children that they're serving in their physical space, as long as they're doing distance learning for those other children, they are getting paid their complete rate.
Lisa Wilkin is executive director of the Child Development Consortium of Los Angeles and explains the financial burden private providers face.
We've seen a drop of about 53% in our enrollment. And we really need to operate at full capacity in order to break even. I'm just very concerned that the private childcare market is going to be decimated.
Nina Boothie at Every Child California says oftentimes these small businesses do not bounce back.
Childcare workers are some of the lowest paid often forgotten individuals that you can imagine. They are oftentimes women of color, and they are small women business owners of color.
Boothie says while the state has done a great job assisting low-income families, federal assistance will be key for private providers.
A number of them were able to get the payroll protection funds, but now we're reaching that cliff effect, if you will, where those funds are running out, and we need additional funds from the federal government in order to help out those private pay child care centers in particular.
Annabelle Munoz, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
And our coverage of back-to-school plans continues here at 6 o'clock. We'll talk to a Catholic school principal. We'll also keep you informed so you can make the best decisions for your family on abc7.com/back-to-school.
A waitress who works at a Carmel Valley restaurant where a tech CEO is accused of going on a racist rant is speaking out.
Trump's gonna you.
You need to leave.
The video shows Michael Lofthouse making derogatory comments to an Asian family, the Arosa Chans. Two of the family members are from Northridge. Waitress Jenica Cochran yelled at Lofthouse, telling him to leave.
Do not talk to our guests like that. Get out now!
To hear the emotion coming out of my voice, to see my mannerisms, it was unbelievable. I did what needed to be done, and I think, I did what
Cochran says she felt very protective of the family. She adds she won't be silent when witnessing this type of behavior. In the meantime, Lofthouse has apologized for his rant, saying he was taught to respect people of all races.
Well, Lady Luck is not smiling on people hoping to get their hands on California lottery scratcher tickets. The pandemic has made them hard to find. As Eyewitness News reporter Eileen Frere shows us, the shortage has already cost California and convenience stores a lot of money.
The lottery ticket vending machines, all 7 of them at Fulton Square Liquors and Junior Market in Sherman Oaks, are empty. No scratchers for sale. The owner says it's been like this for the past 3 weeks. They're not alone.
I don't have any scratcher for amount. That's the business over here, the scratcher, because we sell a lot of scratchers. We got a lot of winners from the scratchers. That's why we're waiting for the scratchers.
Stores across the state are seeing a shortage of scratchers. The games where players scratch off part of the tickets to reveal whether they're a winner have become harder to find during the COVID-19 pandemic. Sources with the California State Lottery tell Eyewitness News that the Southern California Distribution Center in Rancho Cucamonga was closed today for cleaning. Lottery officials confirm one of their workers at that facility did test positive for COVID-19. The California State Lottery says it is following strict social distancing protocols at its distribution centers. A statement reads in part, there is an approximate 4 to 5 week delay in fulfilling retailer orders. We are currently implementing a number of strategies to mitigate the impacts and improve delivery timeframes to meet the needs of our players and retailers. The National Association of Convenience Stores says scratchers, which have 57 different games, make up more than 75% of lottery sales. The scratcher shortage means stores lose out on sales and less money is raised for public education. California Lottery would not say exactly how much has been lost.
That was Eileen Frere reporting. And up next, planning for the new school year, what a local Catholic school has planned to safely bring children back to the classrooms.
And we are talking to the principal when we return.
I'm tracking a super hot weekend. The forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Hello? Dr. Villanueva, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Michelle Tuzzi here with David Ono, and we look forward to talking to you in just a few minutes.
Yeah, we're in the commercial break right now, so we'll be coming out in a couple of minutes with you. Did they go over any questions with you?
Not really. That's okay.
Well, the first one's going to be pretty broad, just about what will be different this coming fall when it comes to like physical distancing, masks, online classes, etc. Then we'll also ask, what do you tell those families who aren't comfortable sending their kids to school? We'll ask, what about before and after school activities? And if we have time, how will recess and lunches be handled? Okay, so pretty basic stuff. All right, so we're pretty close, about a minute away. We'll be talking to you on the air pretty soon. Okay.
As part of our commitment to covering this year's back-to-school plans, we are getting you as much information as we can about all schools.
LA Archdiocese Catholic schools are planning to return to class. And joining us today to talk about what his school is doing is Dr. Anselmo Villanueva, principal of Our Lady of Guadalupe School, Oxnard. And Doctor, thank you so much for joining us today. I know these are tough times, but I want to ask you, what will be different this coming fall for your school when it comes to like physical distancing, masks, and will there be any online classes as well?
Sure. At first blush, the school will look the same. Doors will be open, students will be coming, teachers will be in their classrooms. What will be different, though, is that we're going to hold a maximum class size of between 12 and 15 students, and we will practice all of the guidelines that the CDC, the Archdiocese, the Ventura County Health Department will have in place by then. Things might change between now and then, but we will be prepared with masks, gloves, face shields, sanitizing, hand washing, those kinds of things. And the latest tool that I hope to be getting are these lanyards with a device on them that have sort of a signal that go off as well as a light that comes on when students or staff are within close proximity. So it'll be an indicator, especially for the younger students, that they are physically too close.
Oh. Well, have you gotten any feedback from families who may not be comfortable sending their children back to school this fall? And if so, what are you telling those parents?
Actually, just quite the opposite. We, as a staff, as well as I met with some parents talking about what should we do. This is, a couple, 3 weeks ago. What should we do regarding the upcoming school year? And everyone felt comfortable that we should open instead of us saying as a school, we're not sure yet. We're hoping to hear some guidelines. So we made the step of saying yes, along with the Archdiocese, that we will be open 5 days a week, 8 to 3 o'clock every day. However, there were a couple parents who did not feel comfortable with that, so we will provide alternative education for them via distance or online learning. But that was only a handful of parents. Majority of the parents are really happy that we will be open.
Yeah, they're desperate to get back to normal. Okay, so Doctor, what about before and after school activities? Are those going to change this coming year?
Unfortunately, we have a pretty full sports program after school, competitive sports with other schools in the county. We're waiting to hear from the city of Oxnard and other leagues what they're planning to do. I'm guessing, at least based on current information, that those will not happen. But we will also continue with our before school and after school childcare, so students can come about an hour before school and stay all the way up till 6 o'clock with supervised on-site childcare.
All right, Doctor, thank you so much. The best of luck to you. I know you have a lot of things on your plate, and we would want to wish you the very best of luck, and it's nice to hear that you have a plan in place.
And we are committed to keeping you informed about this fall's school plans. You can go to abc7.com/back-to-school for help making decisions for you and your family.
Well, there's more hot weather in this 7-day forecast. Dallas Rains tells us how hot it will get in your neighborhood.
And the Dodgers holding another summer camp workout as they get ready for the season. We'll have a live report from Dodger Stadium in sports.
Tonight in the Mercedes-Benz Star Spotlight, the top entertainment story on abc7.com. Brought to you by the Mercedes-Benz dealers of Southern California.
We are seeing some beautiful weather this evening. What's in store with the forecast? Let's find out from Dallas Raines.
Oh my goodness, we're going to see some heat, but right now behind me you can see a few broken little stratus clouds. That's part of that marine layer. Kept it to 82 degrees today down at Compton. It was 95 out at San Bernardino. What a beautiful day it was up at Lake Arrowhead today too. Downtown Los Angeles, 84. That's about normal or average where we should be this time of the year. The high pressure located over Tucson, Arizona. So that's just far enough away from us to keep it from getting too hot. Little trough of low pressure along the west coast. Thank goodness it's there because that is doing battle with the high pressure, but it is going to lose. The high pressure I'm forecasting to start moving back to the west, and eventually by Saturday and Sunday is going to be located in this general area right here over northern Arizona, and that's really close. So the temperatures are going to start getting hotter and hotter, especially in the desert areas. There'll be a little brief flow coming out of the southeast, not enough to produce any rain or thunder showers, but we'll be going to be watching that for you the next couple of days. Marine layer clouds right along the coastline. It was only 69 today at Ventura. What a good looking day that was. Overnight lows 59 at Northridge and about 61 in Glendale. Tonight, 42 Big Bear Lake and 74 at Palm Springs. Highs tomorrow, I'll bump you up just a little bit, but tomorrow is really our transition day because Friday is going to be hot. And then as we get into Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be really hot. 90 at Glendale tomorrow and Pasadena, 83 at East LA and downtown Los Angeles, Hollywood 84 and Northridge at 94. Let's roll to the 7-day forecast. And it is July and the high is coming in. So therefore I had to bump everything up. 83, 88 downtown on Friday. That's when we're really going to start feeling the heat Friday afternoon between about noon and 3 o'clock. And then over the weekend, downtown temps go to 92, 92, and a little cooler next week. So it looks like now the two hottest days will be on Saturday and Sunday for the weekend. A nice weekend to head out by the pool if you can. 93 to 103 in the hotter valleys. We'll hold that on Sunday. A few high clouds coming by. Nothing to block out that intense sunshine for July. And then on Monday and Tuesday, we do start cooling a little bit in the valleys, back down to about 92, which is normal for this time of the year. At the beaches, some early morning fog. Surfers, that's a southwest swell, 2 to 4, both tomorrow and again on Friday. And more than likely, I'll hold that for you for the weekend. Beach forecast is warm this weekend, about 80, 81 just off the sand there. In the mountain areas, we're going to be looking at 82, 83. And then over the weekend, a few little clouds puff up, little cumulus clouds, but no rain right now in the forecast. Beautiful there. In the high desert, 80, 102. Ooh, look at those Palm Springs temperatures, 117. And therefore, a heat advisory is needed.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Dallas.
Thanks, guys.
It's time for the Socal Honda Dealers Sports Report.
Well, there is baseball at Dodger Stadium, and we're seeing more sports cancellations. Rob Kazaki is live at his home with more in the sports. Rob?
Okay, David and Michelle, thanks very much. Good evening, everybody. It was a bad day for college sports. The Ivy League said this afternoon that they will rule out all sports played during the fall, and they are the first school or make that conference to do so due to the coronavirus. And Stanford University says they will cut 11 varsity sports at the conclusion of the 2020-2021 school session as it deals with the ongoing financial ramifications of the coronavirus. Meantime, the MLS is underway at the Walt Disney World in Orlando, and the Clippers are on their way to the NBA bubble today. After a quarantine period, the Clippers will begin team workouts for the first time since play was halted on March 11th. The Lakers arrive in Orlando tomorrow. Meantime, the Dodgers are holding their 6th official summer camp workout today, and in about 15 minutes, there'll be another intra-squad game for Big Blue. Our Kurt Sandoval is live at Dodger Stadium with more.